So you want to take your Nintendo Game Boy with you on the go, but the place you're going to doesn't have very good lighting, or it's a dark place. So you can't play your original Nintendo Game Boy because, well, it doesn't have a backlight for one. So you can't actually really play in the dark unless you really strain your eyes, and even then you don't want to hurt your eyes. So you need a solution for this problem. Well, there is a solution that was invented, created, whatever you want to call it, 22 years ago, back in the year 1990, a year after the original Nintendo Game Boy was released to the gaming market. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll show you what I'm talking about, because this solution is known as none other than the Light Boy, TM, trademark, in case you didn't know what the TM next to the name stands for. But the Light Boy fixes that problem, and well, if you have very bad eyesight, fixes that problem too, because it has a plastic piece of magnifying, well, plastic that magnifies the screen, and I'll show you that in a bit. It does its job very well, at least the magnifying plastic does. And even though this particular piece happens to be quite damaged because it's old, not in the greatest condition, you can find some better out there on eBay or Mercado Libre, assuming you live in Mexico. But it also has two LED lights behind the magnifying plastic that give you light that you can use for those places where it's too dark or there's not enough lighting, so you can play it in the dark if you're bored. So it fixes those problems for you. It has this area right here, which is where you put the top of your Nintendo Game Boy. This is the area where the power switch of the Game Boy goes, so you have no trouble from the top powering it off or on. You can play it as you please. It has a power switch right here on the right side of the accessory, and to power it on, you simply switch it to the left. So you can see it's on, and to turn it back off, you switch it back to the right. And well, that's as simple as it gets. The Light Boy accessory uses two AA batteries, not AAA batteries like other accessories like the Light Boy may use. So you want to use your Light Boy, you gotta stock up on AA batteries, unless you have rechargeable batteries like I do, which is the best way to go with accessories and, well, battery powered Game Boys such as this one. But in case you're wondering what the Light Boy actually looks like on the Game Boy, I'll show you. You assemble it like this. You get your Game Boy on one hand, the Light Boy on the other hand, and well, you simply go to this area right here. You press it down on the front side of the Game Boy, slant it like this, and on the back side you press down, as so. You set the magnifying screen down, and voila, there you go. Your Nintendo Game Boy screen is being magnified. Now you have no trouble, no strain on your eyes, and you have no trouble seeing what's going on the screen if the place you're playing at is well lit. So no more problems playing or making out anything that goes on the screen. But if you're playing in a dark area, you need the LED lights to light up the screen. If you want to see how that works, I'll show you right now. Turn it on, and the light of the LEDs, as you can see, goes towards the screen of the Game Boy. So it does its job, and it does it very well. I would show you some gameplay with the Light Boy on the console itself, but I can't, because I don't have enough rechargeable batteries to power the Light Boy and the Game Boy itself. But it's there, it does its job. You can get an idea, sort of an idea of how it works, and well, you can see it does a decent job in what it's supposed to do. And well, basically that's the Light Boy for you. And if you for some reason don't like Nintendo's Game Boy line, although you should, you get one of these, the PS2. And if you're asking yourself, well, Juanito Shet, why would you get a PS2 over the Game Boy? Well, the PS2 has something that the Nintendo Game Boy doesn't, or kind of backwards if you want to see it that way. It has no screen anywhere, so you can play your games on it. So no screen, no eye strain or low light problems. I think the PS2 would probably beat the Game Boy in that scenario. And well, yeah. That was the light boy, everybody. Thank you for watching.